So the last step for this model, we have almost everything done here. What we need to do is we need to locate where the highways and where that street are going to be. And so what I've done is what we need to do actually is turn off all the solid information except for the street solid. And this is what we're going to have. Let me get rid of this, sorry. I'm going to hide the streets because we're not dealing with this. And we're only going to deal with this right here. So we need to turn these into solids, right? So we could have a reason for having a street solid layer. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask everybody to make each one of these things 5 feet. So let's extrude each one of these. Make sure you're on the right layer, street solid. And I'm going to select all of them at the same time, and I'm going to type extrude surface. And I'm going to go 5 feet. Now that I've done that, I can finally hide my street surfaces. And the only things I should have here are 3 poly surfaces. So I'm going to select these objects so that way I can see them for when I turn on my landscape topo solid. So these objects are living inside of it, right now, and we need to move them up to the proper location. So let's go ahead and figure out where these things are going to set. And we're actually going to have them set up on this plane right here. So I'm going to select my objects again. And I'm going to type move. And I'm going to type V for vertical because I want it to go upwards and nowhere else. And I am going to click the bottom and I'm going to drag them up to here. So now that I have them up to there, you can see that they're living inside of that layer, and this layer actually even happens to be on top of it. So we're going to have to deal with that issue in a second. Now what we need to do is, now that we have this here, we should move up this other street layer. So let's select that, figure out the best way to select that. If you have to turn off your solids and then select it and then turn these back on, that's the best way to do it probably. So let's figure out, let's select this one, let's type move, we'll go vertical, and let's select it from the bottom. And let's move this one up to here. See how it's saying perpendicular? Or it says perp? So if you're not seeing that yourself, it's because down in the bottom down here you don't have perp on your object snap selected. So I would suggest turning that on. So check mark that one, perpendicular in object snaps, and then it'll give you that object snap option to snap to. So now I've snapped that there. So now we can see that the top of our bridge is somewhat higher, right, than all of our other information. And it looks like it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, about 35 feet up. So that's good reference to know. So one thing to be aware of later on is that you do have a freeway underneath your bridge right here. And so that's just like an obstacle that you're going to have to be aware of when you actually start the beginning of your bridge. And so we need to figure out, we kind of have an issue here, right? We need to figure out what's going on with this. How can we resolve that? Because it's on top of itself. And I'm thinking maybe the best way to resolve this is let's actually just take both these objects and let's just move them up 5 more feet. 5 feet. So now they're living on the same plane, right? And it's pretty much cleared up everything except for in this area. And so let's see. Yeah, so now we have that there, and let's move this one up as well, another 5 feet.